This one's good. This one makes me think we are going to be hiring in-house, whether it's Hunt or Khan. But he goes,
oh, yeah. I know you're talking about, yeah.
Told Coach Tomlin last May and Art Rooney that this would be his final season as GM. So this was already known going forward heading into 2021. But he says it was time from a personal standpoint. It was time from a professional standpoint. But then when asked about retiring, he says he's not going to use the word retirement, nor does he want to, because I may or may not have a role with the team. However, he is expected to remain in a reduced role when his contract expires. So if he's going to be sticking around a little bit in some type of role,
but
I highly doubt some outside GM's just going to be cool with that.
But no, see, so you also, in those comments, he also said this. He said, when he was talking about personally, think it's time, but he says professionally, because when you're here for this long, sometimes you need new ideas. Sometimes you need outside influence. And that was the other reason why he talked about potentially that job could be, he said it could be someone outside, but he said it could be an in-house promotion, but he's like, you might have a better candidate promoting from outside. So I don't necessarily think that he is all the way, hinting towards hiring in-house, but I do like the fact that he's going to be on in some capacity. But I just think that it's more so depending on which GM you bring in, and of those candidates, none of them have already been proven GMs. So it's hard to tell a guy that has already done this for as long as he's done the track record that he's had, hey, even though I'm replacing you, I don't want any help from you. And I've never been a GM before either. It's like, that does it. You know what I mean? Like, all those guys we've named, none of those guys have been GMs before. So it's like, man, you're going to still want a guy around that can help you, that is already proven as well. No different if you went to New England as a coach. Yeah, I'm sure I don't want to do everything that Belichick has done, but I would still want to hear some of his concepts and ideas, because it's like, no, you've been successful. Your track record speaks for itself. So I think that could be a similar vein with some of these candidates. You
view it only as positive then.
Yeah,
you view
I really do.
As how we talked about in the past. If we hire someone, Colbert stays on for the draft and whatnot, he's going to share some ideas and then he's going to bounce. But just in this case, Colbert might be around for the next 2 or 3 years.
Right.
Just kind of waiting in the wings, though. It's just not going to be the draft.
Right. So when I think of that, I'm just like, I don't necessarily have a major issue with that,
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. But like I said, as long as it's still due diligence, though, right? That's at the end of it, it's still a ton of due diligence with this group, and that's the big part for me where I hang my hat and I say, you know what, I feel good about that, man.
I'm just wondering though.
Yeah.
The new GM somehow puts this thing into a tailspin. I would think Colbert's going to step in, right? You know what I mean? But I guess you would want Colbert to step in at that point.
But in a sense, I don't know if I would, though.
In the back of the scene.
But in the sense, I don't know if I necessarily would want him to step in, because I want to see, how does this GM handle adversity? We've seen Kevin Colbert have to handle adversity. We've seen Kevin Colbert have to handle adversity, whether you're talking personnel, whether you're talking team success. Like, I want to see, can a GM get out of a hole? I want to see, if the team is looking rough, can he ultimately bring in a player? I mean, think about this, man. When Big Ben went down in 2019, we know what the feeling was. We know what the vibe was. And what did Kevin Colbert do? He said, don't worry, I got us. I want to know, can a new GM do that when it gets rough? If you lose a player, if you're starting out 0-4 in the season and everybody's looking at you like, bro, man, I don't know if y'all team still got it. We should fire this guy, do this. I want to know, can you overcome that? So I'm not even so gung-ho about Kevin Colbert just jumping right back in. I want him to really sit back. Like, yo, if you're sitting back as a consultant, just do that. Like, don't be hopping in that thing being too handsy. No. I want to see what these guys can really do, man.
I'm just wondering how easy that would be, or actually more how hard that would be, having success like that. Do you think for him, I mean, he brought up from a personal standpoint, professional standpoint, I would assume then he just wants to be taking the back seat then. Like, he doesn't want to jump back into it. Like, he's already been to war. He's already done all the battle. Yeah,
like, sometimes, man, you want to just be a piece. Sometimes you're tired of always being the leader. You're tired of being the captain. So,
my next question is then why even just stick around at all then?
Because you love the game. You never stop loving it. You never stop being passionate about it. You're just saying that, man, I don't want it to be my main focus. Because there's a difference between a consultant role versus being the GM. I mean, that's just the nature of it, right? Both of them are impactful, but one has a lot more responsibility than the other. So if you're Kevin, it's like, man, I've done this role for how long? this is what I want to do now. I'm involved. I'm still impactful, but I'm not doing it full time. Kind of like me with this, right? It's like, man, I still love football, but I don't want to coach. I don't want to be a GM. I don't want to be, in that vein. But hey, man, I like to watch film. I like to talk about it. So it's like you're still around it, but you're not directly having to do the same level of, responsibilities and stuff like that. So that's why for me, when I think of Kevin, I think of him in that same stint. So yeah.